What's up?
Well, are we rolling?
Yeah, we are.
Fantastic. So, this means war. Action rom-com.
Is it? Is that how you would characterize it? Listen, let's cut right to it. What film did this remind you of?
Depended on which bits, there was a certain scene that reminded me quite a lot of There's Something About Mary.
Delighted to be associated.
In a very positive way, but there are, I don't know, there's all sorts of different things. I struggle. What would you say it reminds you of?
Truthfully, I'm humbled and delighted that it stumps the question of what's it remind you. I mean, I hope it's a little bit like True Lies and Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Ocean's 11 and a few others. Something About Mary, a healthy dash in there, but just original in the end. Because this is not high art. We know what this is. This is a film designed to be enjoyed by people in the communal experience of going to the theater. And I'm hoping the one gift to the audience is its originality, where you can't just run out of there and go, oh, never mind. You've seen that film 20 times already. You go in there, you go, you know what? It's interesting because there's action, but then I'm laughing hysterically. Then there's this crazy new girl named Chelsea Handler. Reese has never looked sexier, and I love Tom Hardy and Chris Pine.
Do you not worry that that's going to hinder it in the long run, though, in terms of if, the industry is about selling these things to the public and getting them in, and if they can't quite put a handle on what it is, do you not worry that's going to...
Yeah, but if the industry is about putting things in boxes, then I don't want to participate in that industry. And I think that if one is ever to be persecuted for being original, then I'm going back to med school. And I'll go down swinging trying to create something that has a firm hand behind it. I always say that I like being in the hands of a real filmmaker. I know when I go to a Woody Allen picture. I know when I go to a Michael Bay picture, Tim Burton, Quentin Tarantino. So if there can be such a thing as a McG picture, cheers. And it's the privilege of the audience certainly to say, I fucking hate that, or I like it. That's always the responsibility and the joy of being an audience member.
Do you think that comes from your TV background, where you perhaps have a lot more freedom than you would in the film industry generally?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really put a different hat on. I got started producing records and growing up with bands like No Doubt and Rage Against the Machine and Sublime. And then I got into advertising a little bit, and I pushed a lot of film through the camera. And to me, when I'm making a record or taking a still photograph or directing a film, it's all storytelling. And it's just trying to do it in a way that's original and engaging, and do it in a way that connects with the audience. Because I'm just not the sort of person that is sitting in my dark room making film for only my own enjoyment. I'm insecure enough, I suppose, that I enjoy coming to London and hearing and feeling the film react in the theater with a genuine audience, most particularly an audience of journalists who aren't easily pleased. So if it plays well in the room, that's the reward.
Do you actually sit in then? I mean, it sounds like you sit in with audience screenings occasionally just to hear
whenever I
response.
can. Yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoy the audience responding to the film. And there are several projects that I'm developing that are much more personal films. Spring Awakening will be a much more personal film where I won't look for the audience reaction because I'm making it primarily for myself. But a film like This Means War is designed to be enjoyed by people in Birmingham and Liverpool and Manchester and all over the place. It's not a standoffish kind of film. It's an invitational sort of film for people who love movies and love films that are larger than life.
Do you find, I mean, you mentioned Spring Awakening, which, as I understand, it's a very sort of serious...
Terribly serious, but also
sincere.
Funny. I mean, Spring Awakening is serious because there's 3 characters in it. One, the female lead dies in a botched abortion. One of the male leads kills himself, and the other male lead has a knife at his throat, ready to do the same, until the spirit of the 2 friends, the spirits, come back and encourage him not to do it and move forward. So it's dark, but it's comedic and light as well, and I just enjoy blending tone. That's my favorite sort of film making, and that's why I got started under the watchful eye of Quentin Tarantino. And if you look at Inglourious Bastards, I mean, it's funny and cheeky and violent and horrible and terribly serious and dramatically credible. So how do you characterize a film of that nature? And very well written. So I aspire to be original and at least give the audience something they can respond to and not just be generic.
So it's, I mean, obviously that, but in a more mainstream way than Tarantino, perhaps? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a child of popular cinema. I love Steven Spielberg. I love Robert Zemeckis. I love Star Wars. I loved going to the movies and dreaming about life larger than my own. Because I grew up in a very humble, pedestrian way. A simple household that was 1,000,000 miles away from Hollywood and 1,000,000 miles away from the dream of the movies and 1,000,000 miles away from James Bond. So if I was given the opportunity to create those fantasy worlds, I was going to dive into it wholeheartedly.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
My pleasure.